What's up, guys? Rich Layton here, and we're talking about the DOTA Underlords update that just came out today. It's a really fun one, some excellent changes, some changes that might affect your gameplay a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look at what they did with this brand new update. So, first and foremost, probably the coolest part of this entire thing, we actually get a legit ranked mode. Right? Take a look at this. We talked about this in my last video, actually giving points. The top 4 players in ranked mode every single time get positive points. The bottom 4 players get negative points. Some people think that it shouldn't be scaled for 6th, 7th, and 8th, that they should all get a standard amount of negative points, but that's neither here nor there. This is the system as it is, so do not be going down in 8th place. Now, this does change some of how you might play. A lot of people love to go and try to get that interest, invest on their gold, hold on for a long time early on, and then power back at the end. But that's kind of risky. It's a min-max type of situation where you might get first place, but you also might end up in last. And it really makes it easy to get into 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I think we'll see people change a lot and now play more aggressive earlier on, a playstyle that we've been messing with. Now, as far as the rank point tiers, when you get a major rank, you can't drop below that, but the minor ranks are a whole different story. So let's go piece by piece through the actual details of this update. If you haven't been through it yet, here we go. Probably the coolest one, the one I like the most, is that every single matchup is head-to-head now, rather than against a random player. So every time you play someone, when you beat them, you actually beat them. You don't kind of beat them or just defend against a version of their army that might be playing somebody else. And you'll see when you actually get into gameplay that every time there's a match, it goes and sorts it by the actual matchup, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And if someone does go down, the odd person player will play a ghost version of one of the players. So especially if you're crushing it, if you're way in the lead, you might be able to really hit hard on 2 different players at once, both a regular version of you and a ghost version. I did that in my first ranked battle yesterday, and it was really, really cool. So as far as the rank system goes, let's take a look at this. Rank is now a number you can see, moves up and down predictably. We saw those scores. And just like before, when you retain a major rank, it's locked in. So they can go into deeper stuff there. We talked about this. There's a casual game player versus a ranked player mode. Casual might be if you just want to goof around a little bit. Maybe you're playing on mobile and you don't know if you might get interrupted somewhere out in the real world. You want to maybe grind a couple of those quests, and we'll talk about those quests more in just a moment. But you want to kind of grind some of the quests that are available, whether it's the dailies or whatever it might be. So that's a really cool feature, having casual versus ranked. So the big cool thing that I think is really neat is adding the look upgrades. And we'll see some of that in gameplay, because my next video is going to be a gameplay video. But a lot of these now have visual upgrades for when they rank up, which gives a little more differentiation, which is really, really neat. So the achievements thing, let's go into our achievements tab here for a moment. The achievements is a big change, and I expect they'll add more achievements in the future that might be season-based. But you can complete each tier of the achievements to earn XP for your Proto Pass, but also to unlock sigils for your banner. And that banner, of course, is the one that's up probably right about, on my hand because the green screen won't go there, but the banner is what represents your character when you're actually in game, and so that opens up some more sigils, and there's pretty cool ones. Some of them are pretty easy, right? Buy 10 5-cost heroes. That one's 50-50. Make 5 3-star heroes. That one's really easy. But some of these alliance ones, right? Win 10 rounds with 4 or more global items. That's going to be a bit harder because of one of the major gameplay changes that came into this one. And let's go back over, and this is probably the biggest one here. Let's go ahead and scroll down for it. We'll come back into those gameplay at the top in a moment. But right now we want to go to item changes. Boom! This is the big one right here in the middle. I'll take it to the top now. Item changes. Alliance items have been disabled and vaulted. That's crazy. That's a massive change. And some of these different values of those alliance items have been moved into the actual alliance stats. So if you get 2, you get 4, you get 3, whatever it might be for that alliance, that's now been built in some cases of those stats. And we'll talk about one of the biggest ones in my next video, but Demon Hunter has been drastically changed. Now, this is a little bit different because, in my opinion, getting rid of these alliance items makes it easier for you to push a specific alliance rather than kind of go with where the game's directing you. Yes, of course, you still have the character pool that you have to pull, you have to fight against other players for to get what you want. But because an item doesn't really lock you in a certain direction, with some of that built into the actual alliances. Now, if you really like playing a certain alliance or feel like it's OP or know a certain build much better, this makes it easier to go that direction, which is kind of 50-50. I don't necessarily love it because then it doesn't force you to make more creative choices and get out of your comfort zone. And yes, you still have to play against other players who might be pulling from the same thing. You still have the RNG aspect of what you get in the rolls, but this does make it easier to push those alliances. So that's a really massive change. Let's go back up here to gameplay for just a moment because we did talk about this for a second. Gameplay now, round damage limited for the first rounds 4 through 9. So it does make it a little bit easier on those who are trying to bank gold to play defensively and go for some low value hits early on. But again, you don't want to go with that strategy too long now with this new, if you're playing ranked in particular. And then this is probably the most interesting one. Whenever a player loses a round against another player, the loser gains a free reroll in the next round. It's not stackable. It only works for that round. So a free reroll is huge, especially if you're losing because there's one 2-star unit you don't have available or something like that. A free reroll is massive and does create some more parity between the top and the bottom. So the losing streak in some cases is buffed here just a little bit by the ability to keep getting those free rerolls every single turn. So there might be some value to losing early on up to about maybe round 15 at the most. But you don't want to go heavy in that direction, especially the first rounds 4 through 9. You can lose without too much trouble as long as you're keeping it close, and there might be some value there. But again, it's a question of how much you fall behind early on. So there's just some general fixes, some UI updates. Spectate now, working a little bit better here. Fix the startup animation. But here we go. A lot of changes. Crystal Maiden gets a buff in stats, but a nerf in gold cost. Juggernaut, a change to the Blade Fury, which is really nice. Lena going straight from 3 to 2, so I think we'll see a lot more Lena. Ogre Magi, however you want to pronounce it. This is kind of a nice buff for this character because it wasn't really very useful early on. It might be overall a magic buff. I'm a little annoyed about the Venomancer nerf here because I was playing Venomancer a lot, but still has some value. I guess the Venomancer, the actual spawns are better, but you get rank 3, not as valuable as it was beforehand. And then here are our new items. The Helm of the Undying, Tier 2 defensive equipment, +5 armor. My favorite one out of all of these, right? Because I've played with a few of these so far. My favorite one is the Poaching Knife. The Poaching Knife is really cool if you get one OP character that's killing a lot. And again, when we get into my next video, which will be me going through trying to make a Demon Hunter Warlock comp, Demon Hunter, Demon, Warlock comp, when you get one character who's just slicing through people, that gold can actually start to stack up a little bit. So if you have one DPS, one damage dealer, the Poaching Knife can be really, really useful to stack some damage and get some extra gold. The other one that's really cool here is the Dawning of Ristual. A Tier 3 global item, healing for both crews is reduced by 50%. If you're not playing a build that has much or any healing in it, this is a perfect grab, especially in that mid game, because suddenly if you're going up against someone who is healing a lot, for example, a Warlock comp of some sort, or definitely some of those, the Warlock comp in particular, but definitely some of the other ones as well. I'm trying to remember the name of. The Knight comp. That's also a possibility. This can really help you out a little bit with getting yourself back in against those ones and evening that matchup a little bit so you can break through those heals. A few different item changes. I don't remember which one I really thought was big. Some of the Tier 1 items have a little more value now, so that's actually nice. Since they got rid of a lot of those global alliance items, some of those Tier 1 items did get a buff, so they're a little more useful than they were before. That's going to be very nice for you. And then some alliance changes, and some of these are really interesting. Warlock's Healing Link got nerfed from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, so that's pretty big. Elusive got a nice buff at level 3. All units gain evasion, not just elusive agents, so that's really nice. I'm 50-50 on the Savage one. We'll see if this actually ends out being valuable or not valuable. I was kind of liking throwing 2 Savage units if they worked into a comp to get that overall attack damage buff, but we'll kind of see. Savage has been in a bad place for a while. Shaman, this might be my favorite one of all. Shaman buff, at least in my opinion, to buff. Shaman adds this ability now to chicken everybody. And I love chicken! Chicken is my absolute favorite thing that happens in the entire game. So I'm actually excited to try to get a Shaman comp and get out there and create a lot of chickens because they are so funny. Inventor, I'm very 50-50 on this Inventor situation, so we'll see what happens. Primordial, again, I'm very 50-50 here. This is the big one, though, all the way down to Demon Hunter, and I'm going to try to do a video on this later if the comps go my way, which I think they will, because I think it's easier to do. Demon Hunter, in addition to the existing bonuses, right? So already the ability to negate the opponent's demon buff if they're running just one demon. And now if you get 2 Demon Hunters, of course, the ability to add that 30% back on to the other demons, right? This is a big one. The ability to add on the 50% back to other demons. This is a huge one. This took essentially what was the Strange Bedfellows and merged it into the Demon Hunter class overall. All Demon Hunters gain 30% pure damage for each unique allied demon unit. This is massive. So now, without having to essentially waste an item roll on Strange Bedfellows, Demon Hunter already gets this locked in. I think this is going to make Demon Hunter demon comps with other things mixed in ridiculously overpowered, and I've already done that once. Let's go ahead and let me show you this really quick. I already got first place in my first ranked match, and here's what I did. This is what got me first, and it was crushing. I ran Demon Hunter, Warlock. Now, I did have the full Demon Hunter Alliance on there at one point. I don't know why it's only giving me the single and not the double. That's really strange. Interesting. But I went Demon Hunter and Warlock, and the amount of DPS I was doing was absolutely insane because of this new buff, because of this buff to the Demon Hunter comp overall. So this ended up being really OP and did great work for me. I think this is going to be a game changer potentially. And then some changes to Assassin now. Assassins also blind enemies when they land, so some extra value to Assassin. Overall, I think this is a really cool and innovative, or at least not innovative, but step in the right direction for Dota Underlords, creating a true ranked mode, separating ranked from casual, making it so you actually battle someone directly, I think is really, really excellent. And then, of course, on top of all of that, some of these changes, again, I think that getting rid of global items, in my opinion, is a bit of a negative from a gameplay standpoint. It does, I think, allow you to drive the direction you want more, and I liked that global items force you to make some interesting choices. Maybe we'll see them come back in. There are still global items, but I mean the global alliance items are now generally gone. There are still a couple global alliance items. Let's go to the book here for a second. If we go into our items, you'll see there are a couple. There's Fall from Grace is still active. Human units count as Heartless, so that still does kind of give you that extra value to Heartless if you want. And then we can go over to, there's Dawning of Ristul, we talked about beforehand, the healing reduced. And then the other one that I thought was that's still pretty valid. Where'd it go? Where did you go? Not Smuggler. Oh yeah, big time contract. This isn't a global item, but it is still a class item. I think these two will still be somewhat valid, but in general, you can see all the global items for alliances are out now. So I'm a little 50-50 on that. We'll see how it plays out. But overall, that's my review of the Dota Underlords update. I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited to play with it. Go ahead and check out my next video, which is going to be me trying to go for that Demon Hunter Warlock comp, or at least a Demon Hunter Demon comp, and we'll see what mixes in alongside that. You have some options that are not just for Demon Hunter. I think Knight is probably the best besides Warlock, trying to mix in there. But Warlock works out nice. You'll see in the next video. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Go ahead and hit subscribe right up there. Watch the next video right there. And I hope I see you in there playing some Underlords. Peace.